One day I'm gonna be everything I wanna be. I don't let it get the most of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be everything I'm gonna be. My future right in front of me. One day I'm gonna be free. I wanna be free. So let me be free.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges. A host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken. He rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar. Insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned with. Fueled by the power that only metal can bestow. He takes his stand, refusing to submit. Insane wheels hear his battle cry. Metal and mayhem will never die. Rituals report and paves his way. Oh, legend in the making, day by day.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What a beautiful morning. Great to see everyone in the chat. Let's get it. All right. Big thank you to Motabomb Virginia, as well as the coffee crew for rating us this morning. Very much appreciate your guys' support. Guys, we got a big one this morning, as we always seem to. Iran ceasefire collapsing, as well as a possible discussions of gas tax pause on a federal level. And then also the virus alert. That is including the hantavirus, of course. So let me give you guys a chronological breakdown of what we're looking at this morning on the news. Trump considers making Venezuela, quote, 51st state. Man, we'll see how that goes for sure. House Dems on ICE detainment in jails. House Democratic lawmakers met in Florida to talk about ICE detainment in jails. Representative Maxwell Frost hosted lawmakers on Monday, which obviously was yesterday. Then we have Trump says he aims to suspend federal gas tax to ease prices. We've been saying that on this channel for a minute now, and the state needs to get, all the states also should get involved as well and say, you know what, we're not going to tax these people, our people. But you know how governments are. Anyways, then last night at around 10 o'clock my time, 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, there was an update that came out, Middle East update. Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire is on life support. As you guys see on the thumbnail, showing life support on the thumbnail. Anyways, Trump calls Iran's latest proposal to end the war garbage, quote unquote. Damn, this motherfucker going on. Then we have the update on the hantavirus outbreak. Cruise ship captain speaks out as passengers return to U.S. That I haven't listened to yet, but I can't wait to get into that because I definitely want to hear what the captain had to say. It looks like we actually have some sort of video or we at least know what he looks like. I'm looking at him right now. His name is Captain John Dobrowski. Obviously, I'm illiterate as fuck, and anybody that is not probably American. Dude, I have a hard enough time with American names, let alone someone from overseas. But anyways, hantavirus latest, what you need to know after cruise ship outbreak. We're learning this Monday, which was obviously yesterday, last night, super late last night. That one American has tested positive for hantavirus and at least one other is showing mild symptoms. Now, that is not including the passengers, okay? They're talking about people since they've come back, I believe. This comes as a group of 18 passengers from the outbreak-stricken ship arrived back in the United States. Exactly. So those 18 passengers that came back have somehow been able to give, where other Americans are becoming positive, showing positive for hantavirus already. We have a couple of them. And then just a couple of hours ago, obviously, President Trump considers suspending federal gas tax. We have the actual kind of the breaking update on that whole thing, because I really do hope that happens. And then we have inflation continued to rise in April as Iran war impacts energy prices. Can't give you all good news. You know the deal. Listen, all right. So quickly, let's get into our call to actions, and then we'll get into the madness of the morning. Make sure you guys hit that like button as well as double tap that screen if you guys are on the vertical side. I very much appreciate it. It's free to do so. And you know what else is free is hitting that subscribe button. This is what we do Monday through Friday. And then, of course, members only on Saturday morning. Now, speaking of memberships, please consider becoming a member starting only at $3.99 a month. Making sure we're not breaking the bank out there with anybody, but check it out. This is what allows us to be on these airwaves as well as have these lights on. So thank you guys for becoming members and staying members. Little side note here, follow my Instagram at BallValveTV, where I post everything behind the scenes of not only my life, but as well as the show, Millennial Food Time Breaking News, as well as the campaign trail, man. It's a great way to get a hold of me one-on-one. And we also have a Discord server for all you legends, because that's where we continue the conversation after the show. Because we only live stream for about an hour. So we have the Discord down below for you guys in the video description. The invite link is there. And last but not least, all super chats, super stickers, gifted memberships, and of course, gifted memberships and everything, super chats, all of it is going to be presented and shouted out live onto the show. But if you guys would like to skip that YouTube 30% brutal cut that they take from your hard-earned cash, we have these platforms that are scrolling around the screen at any time. You guys can donate there, and I get 100% of the proceeds. And of course, we'll read out loud anything that comes our way, just like a super chat. So you're not getting gypped, actually. All right, so we've got it up. We've got email scanning. We'll always be looking. Great to see everyone in the chat, man. I'm very honored to have all of you guys here. We got Jimmy Mack in the house, as well as Pablo. Good morning to you guys. Steve Posey, as well as America Uncensored. We got AU up in the building. We got Yemen, as well as Rabbit of Chaos and Dean Savage over there in Israel. Good to see you, kind sir. Good evening to you. We got Cameron as well. Great to see you. We got Motovom, Virginia with the raid this morning. Thank you, kind sir. We got 5150 as well. We're scrolling our way down. We got Carrie, Rob's neighbor. Great to see you in the building, as well as Gary, my man. Always appreciate you. We got brother Steve Easy as well. Good morning, kind sir. Great to see you. Hopefully you're doing well this morning. I definitely know that we are. We got VC as well. Virginia Chaos, my man. And Mr. Jack Telcott. Blessings to you, kind sir. God bless. Hopefully you're doing well. Let's see. We got Virginia Chaos gifting out 5 memberships, showing love immediately. Yo, top of the morning to you, kind sir. Not only helping me, but 5 others in the Insane Wheels family, man. I very much appreciate that. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the madness this morning. We're going to start off with Trump considers making Venezuela 51st state, quote unquote.
I do want to get to some of the other news that we are following here at this hour, and this is an interesting one coming in. This is from our buddy Bill Malugin.
What's up, Prez? Good morning.
Fox News. He says new. President Trump tells Fox News colleague John Roberts in a phone call just now that he is, quote, seriously considering making Venezuela the 51st U.S. state, adding that there is a $40 trillion in oil there and, quote, Venezuela loves Trump. Now, this post here coming just months after.
Good morning, Charlie. Great to see you in the chat.
Venezuela's alleged leader, Nicolas Maduro, was captured by the U.S. He is now here in the U.S. where he faces charges. President Trump and his administration have been very involved with the Venezuelan leadership ever since. There's been a lot of back and forth. But now this statement coming in from Bill Malugin over at Fox News saying President Trump told his colleague, John Roberts, at Fox News in a phone call just now that he is, quote, seriously considering making Venezuela the 51st U.S. state, adding there is $40 trillion in oil there and, quote, Venezuela loves Trump. Okay.
Oh, man. I don't know if Venezuela loves Trump enough to give up $40 trillion in natural resources, but, I could be wrong.
Keep you updated here as we potentially get more details, maybe some more remarks on that. Also important to note that President Trump is about to hold a news conference that is expected to take place on health care. It was scheduled for about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Looks to be running just a little bit late. We have an image that popped up outside of the Oval Office, so it looks like maybe crews have been called to gather there. That normally indicates that this should be getting underway in a matter of moments, but again, no 2-minute.
And of course, we'll give you guys the update as this comes out any further. Let's see. John Roberts actually put out something. Let's see what he says.
Exactly how that plays out. as it gets underway. John Roberts himself now posting just got off the phone with President Trump. He told me he is seriously considering a move to make
Yes, sir, Big Dan. Great to see you, by the way. Good morning.
Venezuela the 51st state, coming, of course, months after the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro.
Wow. All right. So, of course, we're going to follow this story. Anytime that we bring up any story on this channel, we do our damnness to follow it. So, anyways, let's go ahead and bring in House Dems, the Democrats on ICE detainment in jails. This is over there in Florida, actually. So let's go ahead and see what's happening over there.
Frost, I proudly represent Florida's 7th Congressional District in the United States Congress. And first off, I want to thank Oversight Ranking Member Robert Garcia and all the members of the House Democratic Oversight Committee, our local partners and advocates. We have Felipe Sosa-Laza-Ballet here from the Hope Community Center. We have Melissa Marantas from the Orlando Center for Justice. Today, members of Congress came to Central Florida to conduct oversight of ICE detention practices and to learn and host hearings of the growing role in local jails and what is going on across the South, but especially here in the state of Florida. ICE enforcement looks different here than many other states across the entire country. Not only do we have a complicit
That's so fucking true, Steve Easy. They do have the same look.
state government, but we have a state government that forces
Objectively,
local governments, local law enforcement, local jails, local officials, from the school board to the county commission and everything in between, to be a part of the horrible ICE, not deportation, but kidnapping and human trafficking of our neighbors across the entire country.
What's up, David?
This morning, we held a roundtable and a hearing with advocates, attorneys, and those directly impacted by ICE to hear about what's going inside the facilities, what's happening with the transfers, and the coercion that's happening of our local officials being
What's up, Sterling? Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Good morning to you.
forced to do the bidding of Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. We just came back from a visit from our local jail to hear from detainees directly about their detention and exactly how they were picked up. And what we heard today about what's going on across the state of Florida is deeply disturbing. We all know of
Man, these guys are full of cap, bro.
Stop the cap.
the horrible practices that ICE was engaging in, with essentially exploiting a loophole of the detainer system, which is essentially where a local jail will hold someone for ICE anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. In some of my visits previously, and this was really highlighted by many of our local advocates from the Immigrants Are Welcome Here coalition, I would talk to people in the jail who had been cycled in and out of the same facility upwards
Now he's got to be referred to PJ 420.
of 9 to 10 times. When the timer would run out, they would be taken out by ICE, put into a van in
What's up,
shackles,
Jason?
and driven around Central Florida for hours, or made to sit in the van in a parking lot for hours as they waited to be brought back to the jail and rebooked again. It was local advocates, our office, and others that asked the county commission to get rid of that practice, and we're very pleased to see the action Mayor Demings took in sending that letter to ICE saying we don't want to see that practice anymore. What we're here to do today as Oversight Democrats is investigate. The reports raise serious constitutional concerns. Courts across the country have already ruled that ICE detainers can violate the Fourth Amendment when people are held without probable cause or judicial warrants. But instead of following the law, it appears that ICE and its partners may be trying to work around it through these rebooking practices and detention agreements. That's why today we are announcing new oversight actions. First, we are demanding answers from Secretary Mullen about the use of detainers, repeat booking, transportation practices, and agreements with local jails in Florida and across the country. And in Florida, I don't even like to call it an agreement because many times they're forced to do this. Second, we are demanding records from private contractors involved in detention transportation operations, including companies that may have transported or held people on buses for
You guys are
prolonged
going to
periods
need
of time
this.
on unsafe and inhumane conditions. We want documents, we want contracts, communications, policies, and records related to these practices. We want to know who authorized them, how long they've been happening, and how many people have been affected. We have a responsibility to investigate whether constitutional rights are being violated under federal detention programs.
Here, 5150. I got you.
Why are you gay? You are gay.
Facts.
Because we know they are. That is what this oversight effort is about. And alongside that oversight work today, Ranking Member Robert Garcia and I are introducing a new piece of legislation, the No Illegal Captivity and Extensions Act, or the
Well, you'd be full patch, right? So I guess you would go theoretically, well, maybe it just, no, it wouldn't be PJ anymore. It would have to be, I guess, I don't know.
Nice
I don't
Act. Because there's nothing nice about being turned,
It's a good question.
turning buses into jails on wheels and holding people past their release date or denying them basic rights and dignity. The NICE Act would end ICE detainers and immigration holds that allow local jails to keep people in custody or allow ICE to keep people in custody after they would have otherwise been released. This would also stop ICE from using agreements like basic order
You know, I'm actually looking and I don't see one. I don't see one.
our agreements and the IGSAs to pressure local governments to extending detention on ICE's behalf. No one should be kept in custody because ICE failed to find detention space. No one should be transported across the state in shackles to avoid their release deadline. And no one should disappear into a detention center without accountability or due process. That is what has been going on this last year and a half. We're going to continue to investigate.
You know, I actually did not see that. If you're talking about Obama going over to Canada, that's the story. If that's the only thing I know about Obama and Trump right now is Obama leaving to Canada. I guess he had something, but believe it or not, there's a law stating that if you're not in, government actively at that moment representing, you need to get congressional approval to go over there and represent the United States.
These practices continue conducting oversight and pushing for accountability.
Something interesting I learned.
When Democrats have governing power come in November and next year, we won't simply be focused on how we move forward, because we will be putting forth legislation to reform and change this immigration system that is broken. But we're also going to seek accountability, because if we don't have justice and hold those accountable who have broken the law, it will happen again. And this is the committee that will be doing that work. And without further ado, I'm proud to introduce our leader on this committee, Oversight Ranking Member Robert Garcia.
Well, thank you, Representative Frost. And I just wanted to start by saying that Oversight Democrats are committed to the state of Florida. We're committed to taking on the abuses that are happening here. It's clear from the discussions we had with local advocates, with local lawyers on the ground, that what's happening here in Orlando, but more broad, what's happening across the state of Florida, is incredibly serious. And quite frankly, some of the
What's up, brother Solo? My man, great to see you. And shout out to the Boondocks of North Carolina. My man, great to see you.
Abuses that are happening in the entire country are happening under Governor DeSantis and are happening here in the state of Florida. What we heard around not just the detainment of folks, but how they're being held, going in and out of these facilities and jails, the way folks are being stopped by all sorts of state agencies, should outrage every single Floridian and should outrage every single American. I want to thank Congressman Frost for inviting and advocating for the Oversight Committee to come here to Orlando, to Central Florida, to ensure that we hear these stories directly. And obviously, we all come from different states, whether it's California or Pennsylvania, Virginia, Missouri. We have obviously folks from here, from Arizona, from Washington, all across the country. And we have abuses happening everywhere. But it's so important that we hear directly from people that are working in our facilities, that are experiencing the everyday connection with the folks on the ground. And that's what we're grateful to you, Representative, for having us here and for doing this work. And the last thing I'll say is we are committed as a committee to holding DHS and ICE accountable for the unconstitutional crimes that are happening right now against Floridians here in Orlando and beyond. And whether they're in office right now or not, like Christiane Owen, who's now gone,
get it over with.
A few moments later,
still will be held accountable. And we're here because we're going to listen.
You know what it sounds like they need right now?
Listen to these stories. It's important for us to talk directly to folks, and we're grateful to be here with all of you. Representative.
Thank you so much, Ranking Member. Thank you so much to your leadership and all the members for coming to Florida. Tomorrow, many of you know, we will be in West Palm going through and continue our investigation on the crimes relating to Jeffrey Epstein. But I'm proud that a lot of members of the committee came to Orlando today to discuss ICE and accountability. Without further ado, next up, we'll have the Executive Director of the Hope Community Center, Felipe Sosa-Lazabala.
First of all, thank you so much for your leadership, for everything you do, Congressman Frost, for your incredible.
I got a question.
Why are you gay? You are gay. You are gay.
Shit.
You are gay.
Work. I can attest personally to the incredible work that his office is doing to protect our community. I am Felipe Sosa-Lazabala, and I am the Executive Director of the Hope Community Center. Hope Community Center has been in our community for over 50 years, fighting for everyday working people who come to this country with one simple dream, the dream of being able to fulfill their dreams of justice, freedom, and an opportunity. Well, this dream has now been shattered by injustice like what happened to the Juarez family, which were victims of a crime and then were detained and deported, left their older daughter, who now is the mom to their two younger sisters.
What's up, Joseph, up there in Canada, our favorite snow Mexican? He says, money me, send me money a lot now. Yes, we haven't even done the money part. Let's just do it.
All right, just get the money part done.
Of course it would glitch.
All right, just get the money part done.
Give me money. Money me. Money now. Me a money needing a lot now.
That's actual factuals, ladies and gents. As you guys can see on the screen somewhere scrolling, there are Cash App, Venmo, as well as PayPal.
and brother.
Appreciate you
this is the ongoing struggles faced by our community and something that needs to be addressed now. And we know that Governor Ron DeSantis is not going to give us what we deserve. And we have asked the members of Congress to bring that message directly to Washington, D.C.
And that's it? That's how they cut that motherfucker off? Good. Shit. All right, let's roll into the next story here. Trump says he aims to suspend federal gas tax to ease prices. That's a W. I hope that we can get that not only on a federal level, but all the states need to also do this, in my opinion. Let's go ahead and bring this up.
Everyone, welcome back here to Live Now.
And we also have the direct update after this as well. Early this morning, we have the update.
From Fox, I'm your host, Mike Page. Always great to be with you. Now let's talk about gas prices. Always a hot button issue. You see it across the country as really the prices have no doubt been going higher. But we learned today, President Trump said he supports suspending the federal tax on gasoline to help Americans shoulder surging fuel prices caused by the Iran war. Here it was his comments just a little bit ago inside the Oval Office earlier today.
Yeah, I'm going to reduce until the...
Real quick, Cameron, I don't forget, and I haven't been forgetting. I've been puffing back and forth this morning so far.
As soon as this is over with Iran, as soon as it's over, you're going to see gasoline and oil.
And no, I did not see that, Steve Easy. Let me go ahead and back that up. Sorry I interrupted, but here we go.
Yeah, I'm going to reduce until the... Let me tell you, as soon as this is over with Iran, as soon as it's over, you're going to see gasoline and oil drop like a rock. Going to be dropping down like a rock. I mean, already, look.
I suspect after the war in Iran that it's going to take a minute. Even, after everything is done and all that, I don't think it's immediately going to drop like a rock. Just saying. I do think it's going to take some time for it to come back down.
Just on the basis...
On at least where we used to be at.
So, things have happened. When it first came about, 20% of the oil came out of Hamas. That's a lot.
All right, so those were the comments there a little bit earlier from President Trump. Let's continue to get some more insight. I want to bring in our next guest to help break it all down from Politico, James Bikalis. Great to have you on here, James. And yeah, this comes in.
Okay, I'll listen to the guy's opening statement. Really don't need to hear from analysts to be real, but we'll go ahead and hear the opening statement.
So the president is on board. Both sides of Congress seem to be. So how quickly can this happen?
Yeah, well, great to be with you, Mike. It's been...
As you have terrible audio. You selected the wrong microphone, by the way.
Whirlwind of the last couple months on the oil beat as the administration looks deeper and deeper into the toolbox to try to, find measures to rein in this increase in price, the price of gasoline. And the latest idea is, of course, the suspending the gas tax. It's very interesting, actually. The White House had sort of dismissed this idea for the last even just a couple weeks ago when we spoke to them. They said this wasn't actively being considered. So it goes to show, as the oil crisis continues to go on, the administration is looking at more and more different measures.
Yeah, but he has the wrong microphone selected. You can hear the audio coming from his laptop. That's the microphone. That's why it's so shitty. You just selected the wrong microphone.
Now, in terms of the speed, like you mentioned, Congress is going to have to be involved in this, in suspending the gas tax.
Yeah, it's very, very round.
And that's something that historically lawmakers have not been very interested in doing. The gas tax funds a lot of critical highway and transportation projects. And those are the Highway Trust Fund, as it's called.
That's correct, GEG.
It's already running very low. It's close to insolvent. And so suspending the gas tax would be, another impediment to that. That could cause some political headaches for the folks over on the Hill.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Is this proposal for the gas tax, is the Trump administration trying to get ahead of the Memorial Day week and weekend, where no doubt there is going to be so many different reports on just how gas prices...
Well, it's not just that either. Of course, what Mike is getting at, yes, he's right about that, but also midterms.
This is our leading up to Memorial Day weekend.
What's up, Tiffany? Good morning.
Memorial Day weekend is the traditional start of the summer driving season in the U.S., which is when gasoline demand peaks, and that can compound the issues that we've already seen. The inventory.
Yeah, they're as good as just earrings at this point
for the U.S. of crude and gasoline are continuing to grow lower. And so that's analysts expect that to keep prices going up over the next couple of weeks. And, I've reported.
Well, especially as escalations continue to rise. Trump also knows what is about to happen in phase 2 of this, operation / war, whatever you guys want to call it. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and get a Middle East update. Trump says U.S.-Iran ceasefire is on quote-unquote life support. Let's go and figure out what is being said here. And I think everybody needs to embrace their fuck-ups.
Don't beat yourself up over past mistakes. You are going to fuck up again in the future, quite possibly in a most spectacular fashion. Why worry about yesterday's fuck-ups when you have tomorrow's fuck-ups to look forward to? You are a fuck-up, and fucking up is part of your growth process. Embrace the process.
Embrace thy process. Absolutely.
Oh my God!
Okay, here we go. Let me go ahead and bring this up and we'll quickly get into it. 3, 2, 1.
Let's turn our attention right now to what's going on in the Middle East as President Trump rejecting what Iran sent in response to some of these ongoing negotiations. A very fragile ceasefire that President Trump says is on life support. For more on this, let's go out to Alexandria Hoff on where we stand.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, "Sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living."
The current damn Trump, this motherfucker out here. Steve Easy does let everybody know. Double tap that screen and give a like for Mike. I very much appreciate that. Yes, everybody, you guys don't have to like all the craziness that's happening around the world. You guys can like it for me and what we're doing here on Sane Wheels. So thank you guys for that. All right, let's get back to this. Appreciate that. And also, good morning there, Fog. I see you in the chat as well.
Ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran made more fragile by the latest Iranian peace proposal.
They give us it's a stupid proposal. That piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it.
According to Iranian state media, negotiators offered that nuclear restrictions be discussed separately.
The Islamic Republic of Iran has shown that it's serious in pursuing its national interests and inalienable rights.
Additional Iranian demands reportedly include reparations from the U.S. and the formal recognition of Iran's authority over the Strait of Hormuz. UN Ambassador Mike Waltz is now pushing a resolution to condemn Iran for disabling the vital commercial passage.
We cannot tolerate a world where two countries have a dispute and one country decides to just take over international waters and hold everyone else hostage.
Real quick, we got Brother So Loud gifting out or sending out a 10 spot, man. I very much appreciate it. It says, hit the like button on both sides. Why not? Exactly. Why not? I very much appreciate that. So Loud. It definitely goes a long way.
They could attack a ship inside the territorial waters of Qatar. They can do anything.
SV Anshan is the owner of a U.S. shipping vessel that was attacked by a suspected Iranian drone yesterday morning. No one was injured this time. In March, a crew member was killed when another one of the same company's ships was struck by an Iranian
Oh, gracias. That's exactly why it not only needs to be a federal level, but it needs to go state. That's really where you're going to see a difference is state tax needs to go down, where they do a temporary no tax or whatever.
Water drone. President Trump told Fox's John Roberts today that he may soon relaunch an expanded version of Project Freedom, the short-lived effort to protect commercial ships.
Charles Adams over there on the Facebook side. Great to see you in the chat, by the way. Hopefully you're enjoying your morning so far.
Last week in order to allow negotiations to play out. The president also saying today he is interested in suspending the federal gas tax until gas prices come down. Of course, Congress, though, would have to approve that. Today, Republican Senator Josh Hawley will force legislation to do just that. Two Democrats did the same back in March. At the White House, Alexandria Hoff, Fox News.
All right, thank you so much for that, Alexandria, as Trump rejecting this, saying it's totally unacceptable, this response from Iran, feeling like Groundhog's Day again with this cycle. And President Trump, as you heard at the outset of that story, saying they are on critical life support. From rapid response here, President Trump talking about the fragile ceasefire, very delicate in nature, saying after reading that piece of garbage, they sent us it's on life support. Let's be
shit.
Joined right now by Chief National Security Reporter for Reuters, Phil Stewart. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. Saying it's on life support, will President Trump pull the plug soon and signal escalation?
Looks like that is a possibility. Maybe in the coming days, maybe after the trip to China, we have to see. But the president is saying that this ceasefire looks increasingly untenable given Iran's position in the talks.
Yeah, and what exactly do we know about these negotiations? Obviously, not enough to go back to Islamabad. Were there any clarity on exactly what was rejected, what was totally unacceptable about the response?
Well, the Iranians have a maximalist position when it comes to their desire to see the war end. The blockade end, the U.S. sanctions on Iran end. They want money to rebuild Iran. They basically are presenting themselves as the victim, and they want to be compensated for that. And the United States does not see that as the situation. They see that their hand was forced by Iran's nuclear ambitions. Iran rejects that, of course. But you see these two sides are very, very far apart, and the U.S. has been reviewing military options. Even today, the president met with U.S. Military advisors about ways to move forward should the ceasefire end.
You also mentioned the trip to China, that upcoming, and that could be a reason for the pause or the lack of escalation. Does President Trump view it that way, that if there was escalation, if there was more conflict in the Middle East, this trip would have been called off?
So it's unclear whether or not he's timing his decision to correspond with any outcome he may want from Beijing. We don't know that, but it would make sense that he would want to present his case to China, which has some influence. Don't forget, the Iranians sent a delegation, a high-level delegation, to China last week ahead of President Trump's visit. So obviously, the U.S. is very well aware of the relationship that China has with Tehran and is hoping that China can exert some leverage as one of its biggest customers, or as its biggest customer for oil.
How much pressure could President Trump put on China to try to open the Strait of Hormuz? There's many other topics, obviously, artificial intelligence, Taiwan are important, but this largely overshadowing what's going on in the Middle East. Could President Trump pressure?
Oh, shit, my bad. I didn't do what I said I would do, is scan like I should be. But, man, VC, Virginia Chaos, coming in, sends in $5, and he says, here's a gallon of gas. Yo, my man, making it rain in the Cash App for a gallon of gas, man. I very much appreciate that. Yeah, I think here it's at $4.99. Or no, not that high. It's not $4.99. It's $4. That's where it's at right now. Around $4. The highest I've paid yet is like $4.18 or something like that. That's the highest I've done. Anyways, here we go.
President Xi,
thank you for that.
I think when it comes to questions
Crystal
about whether
Ken,
the
good
U.S.
morning.
will pressure China, I think it could go both ways. The Chinese could pressure the United States. There's a host of trade issues the United States finds very important, much more important perhaps than whatever assistance China can provide on Iran. And so, it's not clear yet how the president might rack and stack his own priorities when it comes to these discussions. The U.S. has real big economic interests at stake right now in this trip. And is Iran at top of the list? Is it in the middle of the list? Where does it rank in the issues between the United States and China, the world's two largest economies, with so much at stake right now in this relationship?
Yeah, there could be some push and pull on some of these different topics. Over the weekend, we also learned that President Trump threatened a Project Freedom Plus, talking about getting some of the commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. What would that potentially look like? Because Project Freedom initially was very short-lived.
It was short-lived, but that also means that it's unclear how successful it might have been. They pulled the plug. Basically, when we started the day, after the first full day of the Project Freedom, it was scrapped. So we didn't even get to see it for more than 30 hours or so. And there is.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm a bit C-Tom sometimes. Yeah, I moved from Southern California to Northern Alabama about 2.5 years ago, and the highest I was paying under Biden, for instance, it was like, I think it was $7. It was something like $7.20, $7.16, something like that. And I've said that on this show before. And yeah, that's crazy that right now California, where you paid, is at $6.10 right now. Brutal.
Very possible that could have forced some trade to get through the Strait of Hormuz. Don't forget, even today, several ships did make it out of the Strait of Hormuz.
Extra surprise. Good morning.
And so there are ships that are willing to take this risk and move through the strait, even in these conditions. And were the United States to provide some sort of shield or some sort of guarantee, you might see some companies willing to take that chance. So obviously that was unacceptable to Iran. They want to exert this leverage over the strait, and it became a major sticking point. So we'll see. If they reenact Project Freedom, it might surprise people.
Yeah, it might open up the Strait of Hormuz at least more than the trickle that we've seen so far. Also, other allies getting involved. We've seen the United Kingdom also have an asset, a warship on the way there. Could that be a signal of others in the European kind of area or even in Asia get involved in some way?
Well, the position of the European states has been fairly clear, and in Asia as well. They don't want to be seen as a co-belligerent in any hostilities with Iran. So as long as the United States is in a state of war with Iran, in the technical sense, maybe not in the congressional sense for the War Powers Act, but in the technical sense, the U.S. is carrying out a blockade of Iran right now, is not letting ships arrive or depart from Iran. That is an act of war by any
in the Iranian ports
definition. And if it reenacts Project Freedom, you'll see, another maybe more sinking of Iranian small boats. And don't forget, just last Thursday, there was an exchange of fire between the United States States and Iran.
Yes, and we've already covered that already. We showed you guys all of that and showed exactly what happened. Anyways, let's go into the next thing here. Ongoing regarding this latest proposal to end the war and Trump calling it garbage. Let's go and see. There's this, next story, like as if they have more information on it. Let's skim through it real quick. And, if it's analysis, somebody that's just analysis, we don't need to hear everything they've got to say. We'll skip through most of it.
So much for that.
Find
The
what,
United States.
Some official statement or anything. We'll see.
Also on Monday, imposing new sanctions on individuals and companies. It said we're helping Iran to ship oil to China. And this is a live picture right now at the Strait of Hormuz as we're following the latest with what we know is that has come to a trickle since this conflict began more than 2 months ago. President Trump also saying that it is currently on life support. Let's bring to the conversation right now for more on what we know and what could come next. Director of Policy.
I really don't care about what he's got to say. I want to see if there's any official statements. Rapid response. I like hearing rapid response. Let's see what they got to say.
1% of.
Okay, we already saw that. We already reported it. Let's see if there's anything else. There's a post on Truth Social. It looks like from Trump. Many of these ships are running low on food and everything else necessary for large-scale crews to stay on board in a healthy and sanitary manner. Yes, there's over 20,000 people from around the world that are stuck in the Strait of Hormuz right now on these ships. They have nothing to do with Iran or the United States. Well, some may have some ties to them, but it's people generally from around the world these are sailors. They're innocent, but they're stuck there. They can't go, they can't leave, they can't come in, they can't do shit. So they're just idling, standing by while war is just going down. Meanwhile, how are they going to get food? It's not like they have crew boats out there sending work boats or whatever to, give them stores and shit. That's not happening. So it's going to be an issue. 20,000 people stuck out there.
To go on, even though they're the ones suffering the most, because it's their country. It's a sort of existential deal for them, whereas for us, it's all sort of optional. And I would add that the United States could solve this problem with high oil prices and high gas prices just by stopping the war. And what happen is, as long as we got Israel.
Oh yeah, it's just that fucking simple there, huh? Yeah, of course. Well, yes, on the aspect of just oil prices, but there is no just stopping the war at this point. Now it's a fucking issue. I mean, if we just stopped, hypothetically, now we have those Gulf states that sided with us and we leave them. Now we're fucked. You know what I mean? And so are those Gulf states. This is why I heavily advocated for us not to go involved with Iran. I knew it was just not going to be in America's best interest. So we're reaping the benefit. We're reaping the fucking problem now. Anyways, hantavirus outbreak. Cruise ship captain speaks out as passengers return to the U.S. We've been following this hantavirus story very closely since the day it started. And let's go ahead and bring it up, and we'll quickly discuss it.
Year 2 live now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. Let's continue on with what we know about the outbreak aboard that vessel, the cruise ship off the coast of Africa, as people being flown home and concerned about some of those tests coming back positive, including some 17 Americans now at home in Nebraska and also in Atlanta. For more on this, let's go out to Jonathan Seri on the latest.
More than a dozen Americans evacuated from the MV Hondius, arriving in Nebraska Monday morning. The Department of Health and Human Services says one tested positive for hantavirus without symptoms, while another had mild symptoms.
We're being very...
Oh, if you're talking to me, their Count of Saint German, you sound legit, don't you? I've been doing this for years. How's your YouTube live stream doing? How's your show going? I don't know. I'm doing pretty well without you. So I don't know, man. I don't know. And listen, I don't have a leg to stand on anything. I'll still curb stomp you, motherfucker. All right, here we go.
Very liberal in how we're framing symptoms. It doesn't necessarily mean just because someone has symptoms that they're going to end up having this illness.
HHS says those 2 passengers traveled in
Gotcha.
biocontainment units on board the repatriation flight from the Canary Islands. They are being monitored separately from the others who will undergo medical tests and receive care if needed.
We're working diligently to ensure
That's
no
funny.
one leaves the security in
So
an
not
unsecured
good.
way at an inappropriate time.
At least one other person, a French traveler, has tested positive for the virus since the group left the ship on Sunday. Experts believe the initial infection happened before passengers began their trip at the start of April in Argentina.
And how much you got to show for it there, Jermaine? How much you got to show for it? I'm doing just fine.
Likely from rodent exposure during a bird watching tour.
Not very transmissible doesn't mean not transmissible at all. And what we know is that at least of the initial 8 cases, they all seem to have had close contact with the index patient.
According to the CDC, the symptoms often present just like a flu, with fever, muscle aches, headaches, and fatigue. In some cases, the virus can be fatal with.
That's very true, Joseph. Over there on the Facebook side, of course.
Man, motherfuckers talk all the shit they want. But you see me, I'm sitting up here snacking on this big ass sandwich, not getting a fuck. Kiss my dick, motherfucker.
No cap.
Stop the cap. Mortality rate of about 35 to 40%. So far, 3 passengers have died, but public health officials say the risk to the general public remains low. In Omaha, Nebraska, Jonathan Seri, Fox News.
Thank you so much for that, Jonathan. The last remaining passengers from that cruise ship hit by the deadly hantavirus outbreak disembarked Monday and boarded flights to more than 20 countries across the world to enter those quarantine. One of the 18 evacuated passengers flown to the United States also tested positive for hantavirus, but is not showing symptoms, while others had mild symptoms. Let's be joined right now by Dr. Celine Gounder, infectious disease specialist at NYU. And obviously, we now have multiple confirmed cases in multiple countries. How close is this outbreak to being a larger health concern?
I want to echo what my colleague
Damn.
Amish Ajala.
Yo, let's figure out the fucking audio, please. Giving me emotional damage with that shit.
Emotional
damage. All right. Let's see if
Who you had in that package said that just because something is difficult to transmit does not mean it's impossible to transmit. Now, that said, I do not think that this is going to turn into a pandemic, but it is entirely predictable that we will see more cases among the contacts. So the people.
Of course. And we've been following this whole thing and explaining, not only them coming back here to the United States, going to Nebraska specifically to be quarantined, but also the passengers that disembarked 6 countries into before they even knew that they had an outbreak of a serious virus. So that's an issue.
Who are on the cruise ship, as well as perhaps their contacts. That said, I don't think we're going to see further spread beyond that, which is what you would expect in a pandemic.
Yeah, and obviously that is what they continue to say. Some of these remain somewhat low at this moment. And we talk about it showing mild symptoms of it. How problematic, how concerning might that be that people are testing positive but not showing symptoms?
This is entirely predictable. So hantavirus has a long incubation period, which means that from the time of exposure to an infectious disease until the time that you develop symptoms is long. And what we are seeing.
Yo, real quick, I'm a bit C sometimes. Coming in with the 5 spot. I very much appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. It adds up very quickly. Very much appreciate that. Thank you very much for making it rain in the chat. Absolutely.
Are people who are starting to turn positive after having been exposed. Early on, you might see a positive test. The amount of virus goes up over time, and then it comes back down. So we're catching them as the virus, viral load is what we call it. The amount of virus is going up, and they're starting to develop symptoms. Again, entirely predictable pattern.
And obviously, we know they're flown
Damn,
back
look at
to
that.
home.
Look at that shit. Oh my God. That is miserable.
Back to the United States, and there's an American that tested positive, is in a biocontainment unit in Omaha, Nebraska. Obviously, you say that, and it sparks some concern, something out of a movie. What does that exactly look like in terms of what the room they are in, what potential medical people they are seeing, and also testing?
So there are 2 different terms that often have gotten confused during COVID, and again now with hantavirus. So quarantine and isolation are different things. Quarantine is where you don't have symptoms, you have not tested positive, you've just had an exposure. And so most of the people in Nebraska, all except one,
So if you actually do have it, there's a difference.
are
Got
actually
it.
in that first category of quarantine. So their accommodations at the
So their quarantine was, how many days did we decide that was, Steve Easy? You looked it up, and we even reported it yesterday, but I just can't remember. 45 days, something like that. 45 days, I think it was.
facility in Nebraska are more like a hotel room or a dorm room.
Now imagine if you actually catch it. What's the luck of not dying? Well, I mean, it's got a 40% mortality rate right now, so I guess 60% chance of survival. But how long does it take to recover from that?
They're just there to be monitored, to see if anything changes, and so that there's easy access to healthcare if something does change. The other category, which is isolation, that's the biocontainment situation. That is where somebody has symptoms, where they have tested positive, where perhaps they do.
Yeah, and Charles, they already talked about and reporting that they're already working on a vaccine right now for it.
Do in fact have hantavirus, and that the level of
42 to 45. That's right.
A different
Thank you, guys.
threshold. So here we know this person could infect other people. We want to contain that risk, and we also want to make sure that person has access to necessary healthcare. In the context of hantavirus, people die from failure of the heart and lungs, and so something called ECMO, which is a heart-lung bypass machine, is what is critical to help people stay the course and survive this event.
And do you feel some of those, obviously, questions about
that's
quarantine
hilarious.
versus isolation?
Jimmy actually changed his name to PJ420. Jimmy, I like that. Yo,
the WHO is saying they are advising, not imposing some of these guidelines. They're saying that passengers should stay in quarantine either at their homes or facilities for 42 days.
Wow, that's an interesting stat, Steve, that I have not seen yet. If they get you on a ventilator right away, it's almost 95% rate of surviving. Wow.
But it's left up to the countries and states in which they are. Is that an adequate level of strictness?
Well, in general, we try in public health to recommend what is the least onerous, what preserves people's civil liberties the most while doing what is safest for the public. And if we had done lockdowns like China did for COVID, I don't think the American people would have stood for that. Similarly, we are trying to balance civil liberties with the risk of an infectious disease. And given that this infectious disease is extremely hard to transmit, it's not airborne like COVID. It is not something that where you see pre-symptomatic spreads. In other words,
well, it is human to human spreadable. Okay, so there's, as we know, there's 9 different variants. One variant, the one that is being spread around right now, came from Argentina. Okay, and that particular strain does work on human to human contact. Now, is it as catchable, for instance, I guess, for a lack of a better word or whatever? So are you more susceptible than, than like COVID? No, COVID was like on an airborne level, you can get it. I mean, that's why you saw the 6 feet mandates and all that shit, but it's all bullshit anyways. But yes, it is a little bit harder to catch than COVID, but it is still person to person.
Spread before somebody develops symptoms. It's not something that infects the upper respiratory tract where it's easy to cough or breathe out. So it's highly unlikely to spread in the way COVID did. And for all of those reasons, it makes sense to balance those different risks in this way.
And obviously the balance is very delicate.
Yeah, I can only imagine being in, I mean, I couldn't work in that industry. That is just such a fucked industry. I just wouldn't want to deal with that. Anyways, so it looks like we've got something here. It says hantavirus latest, what you need to know after cruise ship outbreak. Let's go ahead and bring up, because we didn't end up hearing from that captain. Here's the picture of the captain. Okay. His name is Captain Juan or Han. I don't know. But I can't pronounce his last name here because I'm too illiterate. Anyways, typical American, right? All right, here we go.
On behalf of Ocean
We actually do get the video. Let's go.
Expeditions, my crew, myself, I ask for privacy.
Privacy?
And respect to our guests and their families and our crew members in this difficult time.
Motherfucker, when we're talking about an outbreak, there ain't no fucking privacy there, cuh. What the fuck you talking about? Now you're gonna be tracked and shit.
We've sailed through this together across the sea. Now, we hope to see everybody safely at home. Thank you very much.
Well, it's not Israeli. It's not Israeli meaning. I think you mean Hebrew. But I do remember seeing it. It had to do with deceiving or something like that, lying. I already know what you're getting at, JR Wheezy. We got Jason coming in with the 5 spot, by the way. Be kind to Penguin. He is unstable due to recent failures within the Democratic Party. Oh, shit. Very much appreciate you, Jason, for the 5 spot. Forcing me to read that.
The MV Honda is still on board, along with 25 staff members and 2 medical personnel. They are heading to the Netherlands, expected.
Yeah. How's that work? You go on TV asking for privacy. What?
to dock there on
Counterintuitive.
Sunday. Meanwhile, the passengers have disembarked, including more than a dozen Americans who were on the cruise ship. Some of them are under treatment and observation in Atlanta, but most of them went to a
Yeah, she seemed misinformed even on the variant. You know, I gotta I gotta hand it to you over there for calling that out as
facility
well.
in Omaha, Nebraska, and we are continuing to monitor this. For more on the hantavirus outbreak, what you should know, and some questions that viewers have sent in to us, let's talk to Dr. Peter Chin Hong, a infectious disease specialist. Thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me on, Shauna.
So, doctor, it's been about a week since we first talked to you about hantavirus. Things have definitely changed since then. We are now hearing about some people who are symptomatic, also some confirmed cases. So we've been asking our viewers to actually send in some questions, what they want to know about hantavirus. So let's pull a couple of those up and see if we can get some of those questions answered here.
I like that.
Here's the first one. This is from Rodney in Crosby saying, how common is hantavirus? Rodney says they personally have never heard of it before.
Well, but you know, again, there's 9 different strains. There's on average about 30 cases every year. So I'm already going to answer for that. Let's go ahead and move in to the next question here. What is it here? How is it spread between humans? Is it through blood, touching, coughs, or sexual? That's a good question, actually. Let's see how he answers it.
Chile, they get about 300 cases a year.
Oh, wow.
All right, very interesting.
So only
Another
United
question here
States,
from Joey
30
asking, how
cases.
is hantavirus spread between humans? Is it through blood, touching, coughs, sexual? What is the transmission human to human that people should know about hantavirus?
Yeah, so to understand that question, think about where it reproduces. It really reproduces in the saliva glands and in the lining of the lungs.
Be good,
So
Tiffany.
if you cough and you're infected and you're symptomatic, you can spread it. But also because of the spit.
What did he say right there? Let's hear that again.
Reproduces in the saliva glands and in the lining of the lungs. So if you cough and you're infected.
Yeah, and that last chick just said it had nothing to do with respiratory. Meanwhile, that chick was talking on some bullshit.
Glands and in the lining of the lungs. So if you cough and you're infected and you're symptomatic, you can spread it. But also because of the spit, if you're spitting on people at close range, if you're talking or laughing, if you are kissing, that's why intimate contact, close quarters, somebody has to be symptomatic, is typically the way it's spread. It's not easy to spread if somebody has very mild symptoms and you're at Trader Joe's or the grocery store. It's really in that party setting, laughing, talking, close range, or an intimate setting, kissing, etc.
And something that everybody has been asking with our experience with COVID just a few years ago now. Ray from Zell wants to know, does hantavirus have the potential to become a pandemic like coronavirus, as we've been hearing from other
That's a valid question, and I do want to hear how he's going to answer this.
health officials? They're trying to kind of calm that fear. Does this have the potential to become something similar to what we saw with COVID?
Great question from Ray. I think it's very, very unlikely. In fact, it would be near impossible for it to be a pandemic in the same way as COVID is.
There you go. I like that answer because truthfully, that's what I've come to as well. The same conclusion.
There's several reasons. The first,
and I'm not some doctor. I'm not some infectious disease expert or something like that. It's just off of the information I've been researching.
Is that once symptomatic, somebody gets ill so quickly that they're not out and about on the streets spreading infection. They're typically in an ICU. So that's part of the reason. The second reason is that this particular virus, it is not, there's no human reservoir. It's not like influenza or flu where it can go from a human, incubate in a human, and then go to another human easily. The place it's trying to get to is a mouse or a rat, and that propagates the virus. In the United States, we don't have that kind of rat that propagates the Andes virus, so it will also be unlikely. The third thing is that because of an outbreak that we know about most recently in 2018-19, they found out that once they isolated people with symptoms, the epidemic, the outbreak just went away. And we've never had a sustained outbreak in the 30 years that we knew about the Andes virus.
All right. That sounds good enough for us to get the information that we can out of that for right now. All right, we're going to move on. President Trump considers suspending federal gas tax, as we already discussed. Let's see if there's any updates on this. This is as of 3 hours ago. So this is the latest update on this whole federal gas tax thing.
Time right now is 7:30 on the East Coast to 4:30 on the West Coast. Let's continue with some more of your top stories for this Tuesday. Taking a look at a social media post courtesy of the Associated Press, President Donald Trump said he supports suspending the federal tax on gasoline to help Americans shoulder surging fuel prices caused by the Iran war. Congress would have to approve. There's a lot of chatter and discussion about what this actually would do if the president and Congress choose to go this route to kind of offset some of these costs. Joining us next to break it all down is Yelena.
Yeah, I really hope that the states also take initiative and see this and also suspend gas tax on a state level too. That's where we would really see some relief.
Juliateva. She is a senior U.S. economist at the Conference Board Economy, Strategy, and Finance Center. Good morning, Yelena. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, let's really break it down here. First things first.
She's an interesting looking broad.
Federal gas tax being suspended. Gas right now currently sitting at 18.4 cents per gallon. That federal tax, I should say, excuse me. So in practical terms, if that is suspended, how much are people going to be actually seeing in terms of prices at the pump?
Well, so far, I've seen, not from reports, I'm seeing it from you guys in the chat, is that you guys are saying about 18 cents is what the federal tax is.
Sure. So we're at $4.50 for the national average on gas prices. So really, taking away 18 cents from that is not going to really do much for the average consumer. So, and that is providing.
What's up, Hardwire? Good morning to you, kind sir. Good morning.
18 cents will be taken away. So think about it in terms of percent changes on gasoline prices since the beginning of the year. So we are 60% higher than we were at the trough in January.
Yeah, that's brutal.
If you remove the whole 18 cents from the price of gasoline, it will be 53% increase. So already it's quite minimal. But
so yeah, it'd bring down 7%. From the increase since January. That's basically what it would do. And again, like everyone has been discussing, the majority of your taxes on your gas is going to be from your state.
Economists are skeptical about this gas tax holidays for other reasons. It's not only that you may not be able to take away the whole 18 cents from that price of gasoline. It could be absorbed, by oil refineries, oil producers, or wholesalers and gas stations themselves. So in this current situation, when we have this conflict in the Middle East, the supply of gasoline is actually very inelastic, which means that producers cannot ramp up production very
yeah, Steve, she definitely sounds like one.
Quickly in response to higher demand if prices go down. So that means that producers can just simply raise prices before that tax is applied. So for consumers, they may not even see that whole 18 cents per gallon benefit.
So it's interesting with it.
Yeah, so even if we did see that federal gas tax being suspended, even at the 18 cents mark that it's at now, you wouldn't see that directly to the pump. You wouldn't see a direct 18-cent drop she's getting at.
That first response, you actually tackled two of the questions that I had. But let's hone in on one of them that I was going to ask. The fact that there is a concern in the fact that the full benefit won't go to the consumer. They're going to be absorbed by, refineries, by wholesalers, retailers. How is that split up exactly when we talk about this 18?
Yeah, maybe 6 cents.
0.4%
to consumers
of the gas tax.
So the 18 cent per gallon tax actually goes to the government, right? So that is used to fund the work on infrastructure and highways. So if you take that away, I think that, somewhere in the supply chain, and I'm not quite sure how that will be spread out, somebody will decide that, we can actually benefit from this. And, this is a market economy.
And truly, Cameron, that's the way to be on a survival level. You shouldn't expect any relief anywhere at any time. That's why I've prepared myself in a way that if shit were to go down right now, I'm good. You know what I mean? I've set myself up.
Not a centrally planned economy you have here. So if demand from the consumer goes up a little bit, suppliers will decide we can raise prices, and eventually it will all balance out at a price that is higher, that you would expect if you cut out that 18 cents per gallon.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about some historical examples per se. Is there
don't really need to do that. Okay, so she's just doing what she does as an economist, and she's going to be speaking a lot about it. Let's go and see this little report at the end. There is this little report at the end. I'd like to see
So
it.
right now, that number behind you, that's not looking too good.
I know a lot of people are passing by and driving by gas stations and they're holding their breath like, did it go down? Did it go down? Well, it's going down a little bit. Right now we're sitting at this Mount Dora gas station. It's sitting at $4.39, which is pretty, I don't want to say good, but
Now that's true, Savage.
it's okay.
And not just there. I mean, a lot of other places around the globe right now are super suffering.
It's gone 3 cents lower than it was yesterday, but right now the Florida average is sitting at $4.36. So it is a little higher than the national average.
Gee, we are in overtime. That's correct, VC. Listen, as you guys know, no tax on tips and no tax on overtime. So send in your donos, man. Thank you very much there.
But compared to
VC.
last year, drivers were paying $2.93 a gallon, which is almost a $1.50 difference. Now, President Trump says he wants to pause the federal gas tax to help bring those prices down. The federal tax currently adds about 18 cents per gallon and provides billions of dollars in revenue every year for road construction and repair. Now, some lawmakers, they say they support the idea, but Congress remains divided, and a lot of drivers say that 18 cents isn't enough to make a big difference.
18-cent difference really isn't much of an effort. I feel like probably more can be done. It's definitely not.
Well, and none of these people actually are thinking, well, what none of these people are actually understanding on it is that even if this 18-cent thing were to be, get approved, it's not going to go directly to you and the consumer at the gas pump. It's not going to bring it down 18 cents, as that economist just broke down does.
Bad, but it needs to be lowered a lot more.
And I know when we look at those prices, they are pretty painful to look at. I know
Now that's very true, VC, and I get to see it right away. And it's they don't take a 30% tax. I mean, that's what's crazy about supers and all that. I mean, you got to have them. It entices other people to donate too, but it's true. It does. It takes a big chunk, and then I got to pay taxes on that. So you're getting taxed 30% there, then on average 20% on income. Boom. Now you're looking at 50%.
we want to see at least the $3 sign a little sooner, so we'll keep you updated on that. But again, it has gone down 3 cents, so I guess anything is better than nothing. But for now, I'll send it back to you in studio, Corral.
Amanda, I cannot believe that we are saying, oh, at least it's not $5. How have we gotten to this point? I'm trying to see $2 of gas per gallon. But all right, Amanda Ruiz.
I know, $2.93 is the dream.
Please, let's do it. We'll manifest. Amanda Ruiz with our team at Fox 35 in Orlando. Amanda.
All right, good report. Let's see. President Trump said he supports suspending the federal tax on gasoline to help Americans shoulder surging fuel prices caused by the Iran war. Congress would have to approve the move, of course. All right, let's go and move on into our next story here. Inflation continued to rise in April as Iran war impacts energy prices. Let's go and bring this up. And it's an important thing that we need to be fair on everything and understanding what we're looking at on the landscape here of how it's directly affecting us.
You're watching live now from Fox. Welcome back. Before the break, we shared this breaking news that we're learning inflation continued to rise there in April amid the Iran war. Here's that post once again on your screen here from Fox Business as the impact of the Iran war is impacting the energy market and the broader economy. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics just shared this news that the Consumer Price Index, which is that broad measure of how much everyday goods like gasoline, groceries, and rent cost, rose 0.6% from a month ago and is 3.8% higher than last year. That's the highest level since May of 2023. Once again, I just wanted to briefly show you this live look here of the stock market and how it is reacting here today as we continue to share with you the latest on this news. My producer, Julianne, made a graphic here just to break this really all down for you as I continue to read. Labor Department figures showed that gasoline prices are up more than 28% compared with a year ago. However, the AAA Motor Club listed the average regular gallon of gasoline above $4.50 today, and that's about 44% more than it cost last year at this time. Now, excluding food and energy costs, so-called consumer core prices rose 0.4% last month from March and 2.8% from April 2025. Relatively modest readings.
What's up, Fidel? Good morning to you, by the way.
That suggests the energy price burst has yet to spill over more broadly into other prices. Grocery prices, let's talk about that. Those rose 0.7% from March to April as meat prices also rose. Those prices had retreated slightly the month before. Now, if we're talking about April specifically here, average hourly wages fell 0.3% from a year earlier after accounting for inflation, the first year-over-year drop in 3 years. Inflation had been dropping more or less steadily since peaking with a 9.1% year-over-year spike in prices in June 2022, which was a surge caused by supply chain bottlenecks at the end of the COVID-19 lockdowns and an energy price shock following the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But inflation remained above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. Then we get into the Iran war. The United States and Israel attacked Iran on February 28th, and Tehran responded by shutting off access to the Strait of Hormuz, through which a fifth of the world's oil and liquefied natural.
Yeah, do you guys remember when diesel used to be like the cheap version of quote unquote gasoline, you know? Remember those days? Yeah, that fucking totally flipped on its head.
Gas passes, and here is
What's up, Hans?
that live
Good morning.
simulation this
Great to
morning
see-
of the Strait of Hormuz. You can still see those vessels still stagnant there. Now, the Fed, which had been expected to cut its benchmark interest rates in 2026, has turned cautious as it waits to see how long conflict lasts and whether higher energy prices are going to spill
That would be Hormuz. Absolutely there,
over into other
DJ.
products and cause a broader inflationary outbreak. Once again, sharing this news here with you that we have been throughout the morning, President Trump said yesterday he's going to move to suspend the federal tax on gasoline. That's going to help Americans shoulder that surging fuel price that they're seeing at the pump here caused by the Iran war. However, the president cannot suspend the federal tax on his own. Congress would have to approve that move, but lawmakers from both parties have pushed for this gas tax suspension, saying it will provide much needed relief for families and businesses that rely on their cars and trucks to get to work, school, or run everyday errands. And we asked you all here at Live Now from Fox to weigh in. A lot of you seem to agree with that. As you voted yes, you do think the federal gas tax should be suspended. 87% of you saying yes, 12% saying no, 1% not sure. Thank you so much for weighing in.
It's so surprising that there would be any no votes from the people. Like that's incredible to me. I don't know. We get taxed 1 billion times before we, as we spend it. So I don't know. Listen, I can't thank each and every single one of you guys enough for showing so much love and engagement into the show, support as well monetarily, all of that, man. It definitely goes a long way. Listen, tonight is a big night. We're going to be doing the debate, our final debate with the Senate Pro Tem and the incumbent. And so Mr. J.R. Bowling is going to be going out there challenging him for the second time. And of course, we're only a few days away from the election. May 19th is the actual day of the election for us. And so, listen, if you guys are here locally, on where I live here in Northern Alabama and Coleman specific, vote for J.R. Bowling, Alabama State Senate for District 4, man. So, listen, I can't thank you guys enough. Much love, honor, respect, everybody. We'll see you guys here tomorrow morning for more of the World's Madness. Until then, God bless everyone. We'll see you guys very soon. Also, stick around. We're going to be rating our buddy Rob. He's a great, Rob Knorr. He's a great political commentator as well as debater. So make sure you guys stick around for that. All right. Much love to everybody. We'll see you guys very soon.
From the depths of darkness, a voice emerges, a host with a fire burning in his soul. With a heart steel and a spirit unbroken, he rides on two wheels ready to claim his throne. Amidst the chaos and the thunderous roar, insane wheels rise as a force to be reckoned.